Carson Teal. Mirror Mirror Gallery is like an online platform for artists to continue to have exhibits even during the pandemic. And yeah, Carson is our artist this week. Um, I will let you do your own introduction, Carson. How would you describe yourself or introduce yourself to somebody who doesn't know you?
I'm a multidisciplinary artist, so I work primarily with sound, video, and installation, and I sort of cycle between those three different mediums, doing digital imaging as well. But yeah, that's the best way I would describe myself.
Cool. And I know we spoke earlier today, but through Mirror Mirror Gallery is my first introduction to you, and maybe for a lot of new viewers as well. I just wanted to ask you to tell us a bit more about yourself. So where are you from?
I was born in London, Ontario, to be specific, not London, England. But I came here to Toronto to go to school at OCAD University, and that was in 2012, I believe. And upon graduating, I've stayed here and have been living here ever since, and now Toronto is home.
Cool. And so your work is, yeah, it has a lot of different aspects there. Some of your pieces move, others are still, but yeah, there's a lot of different elements in it. How did you get started in doing animation? What is your arts education background, and then how did you get started doing animations?
I started with drawing and painting. I did a few different mediums in high school. I was fortunate enough to go to a high school that offered many different studios as well. So I got to try a bunch of things in high school, and I actually didn't like animation when I was in high school. I found it very tedious and time consuming. But then when I got to OCAD, I had some really great professors, and I was really interested in sound as a medium and how to translate drawing and painting to sound or with sound. Sorry. So then I got interested in video, and animation just became the most obvious, most obvious next step for me. And once I started animating, I was in love with the medium, and it's been my primary choice of medium ever since. It's just the time based fact. The fact that it's time based is what I'm most interested in.
Cool. And I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but I want to know a bit about what your your days during the pandemic have looked like.
Well, they've been, I think, different from a lot of other people. I actually started a new job when the pandemic first started and the isolation was happening, and it was nerve-wracking at first. I was transitioning from an old job to a new job, and it was, I think, 2 weeks into the job, and it was watering plants around the city. So I water plants at multiple locations, some offices, restaurants, some studios, and coffee shops. So it was really nerve-wracking at first. I wasn't really sure what that would look like. I wasn't even sure if I would have a job. But thankfully, I got access to all these empty spaces. So I got keys and alarm codes to get access. And yeah, so that was the first, I'd say, few months of the quarantine isolation, and I was able to continue working, and that was the focus for me. And then now I'm back to making work again. So it's sort of been it's been very crazy, but I've really enjoyed the job and getting a different perspective, I think, by going to all of these empty spaces and
Mhm.
traveling around the city on my bike, and watering the plants. It's been really
Yeah, like how far or where do you go in the city in general, and what does it look like? right now? And what is it like going into like these spaces?
So yeah, it's primarily downtown. Most of the locations are in the downtown core. I think there's one location that's just outside. It's like in the East End on Broadview. But yeah, it's slowly. I mean, you can feel the energy kind of picking up again. But initially, it was very surreal, very eerie. You know, empty streets, a lot of closed doors, a lot of like lights turned off. You know, so. Um, but then when I got into these spaces, it was yeah, just very eerie, but also peaceful.
Hmm.
I felt like I was kind of a fly on the wall, just kind of getting to see the behind the scenes of all of these places without anybody there.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's been really yeah very interesting to say the least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
And I mean, I can see from your surroundings that you must be a plant lover.
Yes, very much so. It was just a hobby for years. I'd say probably about 4 or 5 years previously, and
Mhm.
I just became more obsessed in just collecting the plants and now I'm lucky enough to make that my job as well. So yeah, it's been really nice.
Do you think like your relationship with plants has any kind of um, like impact or inspiration on your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the past year or so, I've really been focusing more on what that influence has been, and for a while, I wasn't even sure exactly what drew me to plants so much. And I think after thinking about it and working with plants, it's the idea of time. I think I'm just really fascinated by how slow they move, and they're just these slow motion beings that just you're looking at them 1 second and they look like they're not moving, um, but they are actually growing all the time. So that was one thing that I've been thinking about, and in general, I think with everything that's going on globally, I think it's a really important time to focus on nature and our connection to nature. I think um, we need to start reconsidering like how we treat the environment and nature in general. So I think for me, learning how plants grow, learning what they need, and just being around them has kept me thinking about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
True. And I know that yeah, you work with a lot of different mediums, but what does your artistic process usually look like?
It really depends. Each day I think is different for me. I think it really depends on what I'm feeling that day. When someday I might, decide I need to get out some sounds and work on recording or yeah, sound design or manipulation that way, or an image could inspire me. But generally, I cycle through all of them. Um, Most of my works will include all three of those, or at least I think my focus would be to include all three of those. Sometimes it's just an image. Sometimes it's just an audio piece or a piece of music. Um, but yeah, I find I'm kind of inspired by each of them. So a sound might inspire an image, or an image might inspire a sound, and vice versa. It's just kind of cycling in between all of those mediums.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there, and I know like at the moment we aren't able to see your like installation work in the flesh,
Mhm.
but how would you describe like your installation to someone who's never seen it before? Like if yeah, if they couldn't see it, like what how would you describe that experience?
They tend to be immersive and multi-sensory, as I described. I'm interested in multiple senses. Like
Hmm.
I would like there to be objects as well as video and sound sort of coming together into a unified experience. Yeah, so it can be very somatic, like felt on a bodily level. Like when the sound or the music is playing, it can be emotional, and I find that the sound actually drives the piece. Usually, it's the driving force behind the piece, and yeah, you can walk through it, and it can be atmospheric at times, and but generally, it's an immersive experience that kind of takes you into a different place where you kind of forget maybe that you're in a gallery, or you kind of forget where you are, or sort of that's generally how I would describe it.
Cool. And do you remember, like, off the top of your head, maybe like one of your favorite or like works or shows or like a piece of or an event that you were most proud of? Like, can you tell me a bit about that experience for you as the artist?
Sure, yeah. I would definitely say my most recent show at Perry Nadini Gallery. It was my first like major solo exhibition, and that was yeah, that was a very exciting moment for me. I had never had that much control over a space before.
Hmm.
It took me several months. I mean, I would say 3 months of actual production and making it. But even some of those components were being created months before that. And yeah, it was a very memorable experience for me to be able to be in the space and assemble the work, and have like friends and family come and experience that. I think a lot of times, yeah, it's hard to get people to come, or to yeah, to come see or view work, but when it actually happened, it was very very special.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, what inspired your like curation or exhibit of work for Mirror Gallery?
So what inspired?
The your like the exhibit of work or what you chose to feature on Mirror Gallery.
I think when Dwayne had reached out to me, he was talking about this digital exhibition in this gallery that was sort of to to facilitate a space for artists to show work in a time when we can't be in a physical space. And so I thought a lot about my digital work, because that seems to be in line with the theme of the gallery. And yeah, I think it was an accumulation of work that I had been doing for, I'd say, about a year. And, and yeah, I really wanted to show the digital work that I've been doing over the past year. And um, it sort of represents the immateriality of what I've been doing, and I think in this time when we can't see each other, I think it really lends itself to that idea of wanting to touch something, or wanting to hold something, or to see our friends and family. Like it's that sort of distance, that immateriality, where you're you're sort of limited to a digital space. And um, I guess that was the initial idea behind the curation. Each of the works have, I guess, a different idea behind them, but yeah.
Mhm. Um, and sorry, like going a bit more into that. Um,
Mhm.
what kind of themes do you try to explore in those pieces?
In those pieces. With Index of Imperfections, it was an idea of, yeah, what is real, what is not real. So when I was making those works, I was taking objects that are physically real, like um, different materials, metals, and other objects, and I would scan them into the computer and then
Mhm.
manipulate them and put them into a digital space. So it was sort of this idea of creating virtual installations of real world objects as well as digital objects. And yeah, it's all kind of in line with this idea of creating a virtual space or creating a virtual experience of something and kind of trying to represent the immateriality of things. Like I'm interested in things that you can't necessarily touch or hold. Like there's a lot of concepts and feelings and emotions and beliefs that are not necessarily tangible, but they can be represented through the medium. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's sort of that's just one of the works. But yeah, I think each of them kind of have a theme that kind of carries on throughout the exhibition.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the fact that you like have a are able to like share your work digitally is probably like an asset for you in this time. How has that transition been for you to like focus on your digital work? And like what where do you see yourself or like what do you see yourself doing like going forward?
I mean, it's definitely been. I've been very fortunate to be able to work digitally. I know there's a lot of artists that are, unable to go to studios or unable to show their work as they normally would. Um, for me, my work can be exhibited digitally as well. I find that I do want to do more installations, and that's definitely the goal for me is to do more physical installations, and I miss that interactive element of having people in a space. But going forward, I found that working digitally has actually been very beneficial for me, and this whole period has pushed me into the digital realm a bit more than I was previously.
Hmm.
And I
How
think
so?
how so?
Yeah. How is it like other like what other projects are you hoping to take on?
Well, I've been working on some collaborative works with some other musicians and other people that have sort of messaged me or interacted online and have
Mhm.
shown interest in wanting to work on videos and designing album artwork or collaborating virtually. So like without having to actually go and meet them. Obviously, I would love to meet people face to face, but being able to share files online has been kind of how I've been working lately.
Mhm.
And I think even for this year, like I can't see myself doing a physical gallery exhibition anytime soon. So
Mhm.
I'm going to be reconsidering how I want my next work to be presented, and I think it's going to be video format, and I would like to create sort of an audio visual experience online that might resemble like a film or like an audio visual musical piece that has a longer duration.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I've been moving forward. But I think in general, I'm really enjoying working digitally, and I think it's fine for now. And I hope to be able to bring that back to physical spaces soon.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, how important is that like physical um like aspect for you of like being able to be present with other people in a space? Do you miss that social connection?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I miss all of my friends. I miss being able to, yeah, like I really want to just hug my friends and be in that space with them. There's just something different about a physical space that, a computer screen cannot do justice. I think
Mhm.
no matter what, people will still, like, the human nature is to be in spaces with people, and there's an energy, there's body language, and there's smell, and there's just all these other things in a space that you can't recreate digitally, and you can't experience that through a talk like this,
Mhm.
and it's very important to me. I think, yeah, people. I really want to be with people again, and I would really want to be able to experience art in person and to share my work in person as well. I think there's something that's you can't recreate that.
Hmm. True. How are you managing to like stay connected to like your friends and community?
I've been doing a lot of messaging and FaceTiming and Zoom and Skype. It's been nice. I definitely feel like I've been able to connect with people that I haven't talked to in a long time.
Hmm.
There was, I feel like there's almost an increase of reaching out, being with friends. So that's been really nice, and it's been great to be able to stay in touch that way. Um, but mostly, yeah, it's definitely, we're all just sort of waiting for the time to be actually present with each other. Um, but yeah, I feel like I've just been talking online, Instagram, and using those other uh, video call
Hmm. Yeah.
applications.
Um, and in isolation, have you? I know that you said most likely you'll be doing like video format stuff going forward, but is there any other dream project that like isolation has like kind of lit a fire in your belly to go and chase?
Mm. I definitely, yeah, I have this dream project, especially now from working with plants. I have this dream of creating a space with a lot of plants and lights.
Mm,
And I kind of touched on that with my previous work, the solo exhibition, but I really, really want to push the presence of plants in my work. And I think, yeah, it's just starting to happen. I don't exactly know when or what that will look like, but
mm,
that's definitely something I've been thinking about is more plant-based installations and installations that are kind of self-sustaining. Though, like automatic watering systems and lights and things like that.
mm.
That could be permanent plant installations in certain places if that was the case.
Yeah, cool. How did you begin to develop your like your relationship with plants?
Um, well, actually, my professor was moving. Sorry, she was moving to another country and gave me all of her plants. So it was I was gifted, I think, like 40 plants or something like that, and I had
Wow.
no idea what I was doing. So sadly, a few of those did die, and I think that it's important for people to know that it's okay that plants die. It's like part of the learning experience. I
Mm,
learned a lot, but yeah, it was just that was the initial um, starting point, and then it was just kind of a constant learning from that point on, and asking friends and other people that I knew that were more skilled than I was at plants, and so that was the initial starting point.
cool. Yeah, I am jealous of the space that you have around you because especially like being in such a dense city, it's hard, especially in isolation, to like feel connected to something. And I can imagine that that like is nice for you. I wish we had bigger parks here,
Oh yeah,
but,
yeah.
but I mean it is what it is. Um, I think I think that was like all the questions that I had for you. Was there anything else that you wanted to add about your work, or I don't know how you've been doing in isolation and how it is to be an artist in this time?
I think I think it's difficult for everybody, and um, definitely being an artist has been challenging. But I feel like there's a lot of positive that you can take from this experience, and it's a great time for people to be to reflect on themselves, what they do, what they want to do. I think when everything kind of came to a halt, it was a perfect opportunity to just sit with yourself and to think about those things. So for me, I've really taken this opportunity to be present and to think about what it is I'm trying to do, and
Mhm.
I think it actually helped me to reevaluate like what my work was about, or what kind of work I want to make moving forward, and what's
Mhm.
meaningful to me. So um, yeah, I mean, it's undeniably very difficult and stressful and sad for a lot of people, and I don't. Yeah, I just want people to also see the positive in what this time can bring.
Hmm. Okay, that was everything that I had to ask you, Carson. Thank
Okay,
you for joining us on this live, and if you're tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Um, yeah, that's everything. Take care, everybody. Bye.
bye.